Very good morning to all of you. Yeah, so in your practical examination in OBGY, in final exams, you will be having a long case of obstetrics, a short case of gynecology, in which a template will be given to you. This template is nothing but the history in short, and examination points are given to you, and the viva will go on that, right? And the whole concept of today's clinic is about to orient you about the table viva, right? Now, in table viva, basically, whether there are going to be instruments, there are going to be drugs, there are going to be specimens and contraceptives, right? And then the every part of what I said now is going to be on obstetric side also and gynecology side also. So in obstetrics also you will have instruments, drugs, specimens like that, and in gynecology also you will have this thing. So they may be separately kept, maybe on a larger table or maybe on two different tables, right? So on one side there will be obstetric, depends upon the exam, but generally supposed to be kept obstetrics separately and gynecology and contraception separately, right? So now coming to how you go about for your viva. First of all, whenever you come for exams, these are general instructions which I'm telling you. You must see to it that first of all you greet the examiner whenever, wherever, whether it is long case, short case, whether you are coming for viva, right? And like say for example, get yourself oriented whether you are on obstetric side and gynecology side. If it is combined and kept together, then you may not actually understand within a fraction of minute कि मैं क्या देख रहा हूँ. But definitely you know that obstetric का table अलग रखा है and gynecology का table with दो examiner उधर है, दो examiner इधर है, तो different, right? So maybe it's a long table and all four examiners are sitting together and everything is on the same. It can happen like that also, right? So in your practical table viva, and one more thing which you will have is OSCE examination. So one long case, one short case, one OSCE, and then 25 marks for OSCE, and then you have table viva. In OSCE, we will have say 5 stations for you, right? So you will rotate every 5 minutes, and then in that you will have at least one skill station. Skill station means what? You will be given a task of say just do first leopard grip, right? Or the task would be just take blood pressure. The task could be just see for pallor, anything, and we will see how clinically you are doing it, right? So that is going to be OSCE. So out of those 5 stations, let me be very clear to you. 3 stations are going to be either one instrument, one drug, one contraceptive like that, or a specimen, anything which is kept on table viva, one station will be that. At least one will be skill station. And then the observer will observe, and there will be a scoring sheet with the observer, and you will get marks for that particular station on that. And the next station, 5th station, would be a response station. What do you mean by response station? Response station is whatever you did on that skill station, a particular question related to what you did on that will be asked. Say the previous the previous station was take blood pressure of this patient, right? And then the next response. So in that station, you were assessed on how you did it, right? And then in the next station, the question could be what was the blood pressure? Was it less or was it more? If it was, if what was the blood pressure of previous patient on the previous station? Then the questions could be on preeclampsia, something like that. You know, if blood pressure is more than 150/90, or it could be like pallor was there or not. If it was there, what are the causes of anemia? So response question is going to be say what was the finding in the first previous station, which was having say leopard first grip. So you'll have to write there was a soft ballotable irregular part which was felt suggestive of breach. Then the question could be on what is the normal presentation, what is the normal line, something like that. So right, so one station is going to be skill station, one is response for that skill station, and rest 3 could be anything, a drug or this thing, and the questions are going to be 5 marks each for each station. So this I have made it very clear to you about OSCE, right? Now coming to table viva as such. Now say you have any instrument for that matter. An instrument might be given to you, and in that instrument, always remember that once you hold it in your hand, you're supposed to describe it, then identify it, or identify and describe it. Like, I know this is a Doyens retractor, so then you'll have to describe. So it has a, every instrument has a proximal end and a distal end. The proximal end where you hold it, and distal is which goes, or the other way how it is described, the proximal end and the business end, the one which is used, right? So like that you can describe, and there is a peculiarity of every end and every instrument, right? And always remember, in undergraduate we know that you are reading 4 5 subjects, and even if you identify it and if we give hints to you, you can give answers, it's more than enough, right? And don't jump on to saying things unless they are asked. Examiner tells you to identify this, just identify this, then he's looking at you, then go ahead and बोलो आगे. जब तक आपको बोला नहीं जा रहा है, एकदम से बोलते 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 मत जाओ, because in anxiety what happens, to keep on talking and then the viva will go to some other direction, right? So whatever is asked to you, take a pause and answer only that much. So for a particular instrument, whichever is given to you, first identify it and describe it. Like, this is a Doyens retractor, which is mainly used during cesarean section. It has a proximal end and a distal end. The distal end has a flat, broad area which is curved, which is cater made so that it fits onto the symphysis pubis, and it is mainly used to retract the bladder during caesarean section to reach the lower uterine segment. The distal end is fenestrated. There is a finger bow over here so that you can hold it like this, right? And these fenestrations generally they are made to reduce the weight also of the instrument, right? Always remember, blades जो है forceps के वो fenestrated है. That is because they want to reduce the weight of the instrument, and at the same time it gives a space to for particular tissue, like fetal head can go inside those fenestrations and it will not be compressed more, right? So this is for finger of the assistant who's going to hold it, right? So this is how you will describe. Another part of every instrument which you must tell is how it is sterilized. So if it is a steel instrument, it is going to be sterilized by autoclaving, right? So autoclaving, this the way it is autoclaved. Then is there any substitute for that instrument? These are common questions which examiner asks. कि मेरे पास मैं artery forceps describe कर रही हूँ, right? So it has a proximal end and it has a distal end. The proximal end has two bows and a lock and a ratchet or racket, whatever you want to say, right? And then the distal end or the business end is tapering, right? It is pointed at the end. The surfaces of the blades, they have serrations inside for better grip, right? It is curved. There is a straight artery also, but this is a curved one. The advantage of curved artery forceps is it doesn't come in the way of your vision. अगर मैं ऐसे पकड़ रही हूँ तो मुझे आराम से दिख रहा है ब्लीडर यहाँ से. अगर वो स्ट्रेट रहेगा तो मैं उसको कॉटराइज ही नहीं कर पाऊंगी, right? So it doesn't come in your way of suturing, or if you're catching. Basically it is used for hemostasis, right? So small capillary oozes are there, small arteries are there, small capillaries are there in all the tissues, whichever tissue, right from subcutaneous tissue to deep inside the pelvis. You can use this instrument. It is pointed, so it can be used for good dissection in narrow spaces, right? It is blunt also. It is not sharp. It doesn't have tooth, right? So all these features make it very good for dissection, for hemostasis purpose, right? But whenever any instrument has this lock, it becomes traumatic. है ना, चिमटा लग रहा है ना जोर से, so tissue crush हो रहा है ना, ये है. और समझ लो एक दूसरा भी यहाँ पे है नहीं. If the instrument doesn't have this, no, it will always handle the tissue gently. It will be just for grasping purpose. Like ये forceps में crushing नहीं, you will just gently hold it, right? But it has tooth, so again it is traumatic. So if you have delicate structures, you will not have a tooth forceps. You will have a plain forceps, like bowel पकड़ना है आपको. You don't want tearing, shearing. Then, but rectus sheath को अगर वो plain forceps पकड़ ही नहीं पाएगा, then you will require bone को पकड़ना है. Then you require a tooth वाला instrument, right? So this is about how you describe it. always say how you sterilize it, right? Autoclaving takes a long time for any, it's just like boiling. So autoclaving takes a long time for instrument to boil. अगर आपको समझ लो एक ही सेट है आपके पास और आपकी अगली सर्जरी आधे घंटे बाद तुरंत है, तो what can you do? You can boil it for 15 to 20 minutes और simple एक boiler आता है जो OPD में भी रहता है, कभी आप देखोगे तो. और what you can do is there is a solution called 2% glutaraldehyde, Sidex. So Sidex में आप रख सकते हो. It takes only 15 minutes or 20 minutes for it to sterilize the instrument. Sterilization हर instrument का पूछ सकते हैं आपको कि कैसे करना है, ठीक है? Then say this is the instrument, like you know, Sims anterior vaginal wall retractor. So एग्जामिनर बोलेगा तो मेरे पास है ही नहीं है ओपीडी में, सब खत्म हो गए, आज 40 पेशेंट है, तुम्हारे यू नो बॉयल ही हो रहे हैं अभी और पेशेंट आ गई है वहां पे, तो ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट नहीं है, तो आप क्या यूज कर सकते हो? एनी अदर इंस्ट्रूमेंट विच यू कैन यूज. So then you can say you can use even a sponge holder to retract the anterior vaginal wall. ये rarely पूछते हैं, but you must know that they might ask, right? So this is a very peculiar instrument. This is Sims posterior vaginal wall retractor. It is a C-shaped retractor because it is double bladed. ये छोटा है और ये बड़ा है. ये थोड़ा छोटा है, देखोगे अगर आप, ये थोड़ा छोटा है, थोड़ा लंबा है, ऐसे है ना. तो ये ब्लेड अगर आपने डाला वजाइना में एंड आपको सर्विक्स नहीं दिख रहा है, तो यू विल रिमूव दिस एंड अगेन पुट दिस बिगर वन, right? So you always introduce a little smaller one first, and then assessing whether you are not able to see it, then you put the larger one. इससे भी नहीं दिख रहा है, तो you have a larger size. So there are different sizes of Sims speculum. So J. Marion Sims was a father of OBGYN surgery, you can say. He settled in Africa, and you know what he did? वहाँ पे बहुत obstructed labors आते थे 200 साल पहले. तो what used to happen? सबको obstetric fistula होता था. क्यों होता था fistula? Because fetal head जो है जाके अटका है symphysis pubis और sacrum के बीच में, है ना? So सारे जो soft tissue है वो avascularly दबे हुए हैं for a long time. कभी-कभी 24 hours also. एंड इनर्शिया हो जाता है पेशेंट को, मतलब यूट्रस इनर्शिया हो जाता है, मतलब यूट्रस रुक जाएगा प्राइमरी ग्रेविडा में, और मल्टी ग्रेविडा है तो रप्चर हो जाएगा, फिर तो मर ही जाएगी पेशेंट शॉक में दोस डेज, राइट? बट अब इसमें क्या होता था, प्राइमरी ग्रेविडा में इनर्शिया, मतलब यूट्रस विल काम डाउन टू प्रोटेक्ट द वुमन, राइट? देन वो आईयूडी होगा, फिर वो उसके बाद में भी आफ्टर 2-3 days इफ शी इज स्टिल अलाइव शी यूज्ड टू डिलीवर. बट सो दोज हु सर्वाइव्ड ऑल दिस, व्हाट यूज्ड टू हैपन, द एरिया, the head which compressed the bladder and vagina anteriorly between the symphysis pubis and fetal head, है ना, दोनों बोनी है ना, symphysis pubis भी है और head भी है, तो वो पूरा एरिया avascular necrosis से 15 days बाद, तभी नहीं होगा तुरंत, 15 days बाद it will slough out, नेक्रोज हो गया है तो वो स्लप आउट, तो क्या होता था, फिस्टुला. सो बहुत सारे फिस्टुला के पेशेंट्स ही यूज्ड टू गेट, एंड देन ही वांटेड टू सी वेयर इज द फिस्टुला फ्रॉम वजाइनल साइड. So what he did initially, he used spoons, household spoons those days, and then he devised, ultimately he came out with this instrument. So when he made it L-shaped or J-shaped like this. Then double bladed was also made so that you don't have to use again and again many instruments. It has a trough or concavity inside to drain the collection, whatever is there, whether it is a leukorrhea, whether it is a normal discharge, whether it is a blood, amniotic fluid, anything. So if this is asked in obstetrics to use, examiner ko is happy that you're doing well. So they might ask you, tell me one obstetric use. So you should be able to say that, if the patient has come with premature rupture of membranes, or patient has come with PPROM, you want to confirm there is leakage of liquor or not. You want to see whether there is antepartum hemorrhage है, तो bleeding os से आ रहा है कि बाहर है. So basically to inspect the cervix and vagina, you use this instrument. This instrument is always used with Sims anterior vaginal wall retractor like this, right? So how do you introduce this instrument? You always see labia majora and minora are vertical, introitus vertical है, and internally vagina फिर H-shaped है, दोनों lateral walls and दोनों anterior and posterior walls. Anterior wall is sagging, bladder अगर full है तो और sag करेगा, posterior wall rectum अगर full है तो और bulge करेगा, right? So anterior and posterior walls are like this and lateral walls are like this, right? So introitus initially is vertical and then the vagina is going to be like this. So initially you put the instrument like this and then rotate it and retract the posterior vaginal wall. Now anterior vaginal wall is still sagging. You will not see cervix. समझ में आ रहा है? You have just retracted the posterior vaginal wall. To retract the anterior vaginal wall, you require this instrument to see the cervix, right? Now this instrument is very peculiar. Just see, it is a straight instrument having two ends, both angulated, fenestrated, rounded ends, right? ऐसा फिक्स्ड कोई रूल नहीं है कि आपको वैसा ही डिस्क्राइब करना है, but it is logically you will say it is a rounded, it has rounded ends on both sides and it has serrations over it. These serrations fit onto the, or they are meant for the to fit into the rugosities of vagina, right? And then it is used like this. Why it is angulated? Any instrument which you use vaginally, no, they are generally angulated because otherwise an anterior vaginal wall will again sag and the instrument will come in your way. So you want instrument to stay also there. इसलिए ये angle दिया हुआ है. अगर ये straight रखूंगी ना मैं तो ऐसे रहेगा तो वो फिर sag होती रहेगी. So it has to have that angle also that it will elevate it, right? So this is also having two sizes. One is little larger than the to match with this, right? So these instruments are used together. Sims posterior vaginal wall retractor and Sims anterior vaginal wall retractor. It is not self-retaining. If you are alone in the OPD, you just want to inspect the cervix and vagina, wonderful instrument. You're not doing anything on the this thing. But yes, if you want to take pap smear, you want to put a copy, you want to do some procedure, then you will require an assistant to do that because एक को किसी को ये पकड़ना पड़ेगा या तो तुम पकड़ोगे उसको वो करना पड़ेगा. So you require an assistant for this. इसका दूसरा instrument है, I'll get it after some time, is a Cusco's bivalve self-retaining vaginal retractor. It has two blades which open like a duck's bill. है ना? ऐसे bill जैसे open होते हैं. Now this instrument is self-retaining because it has a screw also. So once it goes inside, it also has to be put vertically first and then rotate and open the blades. The advantage is it is self-retaining. So you just open, see the cervix. Through that outer opening, you can see the cervix, but you cannot see vaginal walls because they are completely covered by those blades. But definitely you can take pap smear, you can see the cervix very well, you can do colposcopy very well. You don't require an assistant. At least your hands are free. Any instrument which you are using in OPD, you have to use it gently because obviously patient is not under anesthesia. Larger instruments, larger caliber instruments you can use in OT in under anesthesia, right? So in OPD generally we don't use bigger caliber instruments because patients are not under anesthesia, right? You can use some normal saline as a lubricant to introduce this, but if you are going to take pap smear, only normal saline will do. Otherwise, if you're not going to take pap smear, patient बोल रही है मेरा 1 महीने पहले ही pap smear हुआ है और किसी और complaint से आई है 6 महीने पहले ही हुआ है, तो then you can use even a lignocaine jelly or you can use paraffin, है ना? So that way it will not be painful for the patient. So this is about, but when you're taking pap smear, because क्या होगा वो oil पूरा slide पे आएगा तो कोई cells नहीं दिखेंगे. समझ में आ रहा है? So this is about how you describe any instrument. So इसका क्या replacement है? अगर ये नहीं है तो दूसरा क्या instrument OPD में use होता है? तो Cusco's bivalve self-retaining retractor. This is a Sims posterior vaginal wall. This can also be used anteriorly to retract the anterior vaginal wall. So two Sims speculums can be used. One goes like this and retracts posterior wall. The other one goes like this and retracts the anterior vaginal wall like this. So two instruments can be used if this is not there, right? In labor room also it is used whenever patient has PPH also. Postpartum hemorrhage आपको देखना है ट्रॉमेटिक है कि एटोनिक है. एटोनिक है कि नहीं कैसे पता चलेगा? आप एक हाथ पेट पे रखोगे, यूट्रस इज लाइक क्रिकेट बॉल, वेरी हार्ड, देन डेफिनेटली मोस्ट 99.99% इट इज ट्रॉमेटिक. तो वो नीचे से ही कहीं से आइदर सर्वाइकल टेयर है, वजाइनल टेयर है, या तो जस्ट एट द इंट्रोइटस देयर इज सम ब्लीडिंग, राइट? सो देन यू रिक्वायर दिस इंस्ट्रूमेंट. कभी कभी क्या है, द टेयर इज ऑन द, आप अगर इसको नीचे डालते हो तो वो टेयर ही इससे दब जाएगा ना, आपको दिखेगा ही नहीं, तो आपको इसको उल्टा यूज करना पड़ेगा टू रिट्रैक्ट द एंटीरियर वेजाइनल वॉल, देन ओनली पोस्टीरियर वेजाइनल। ये हमेशा क्या रिट्रैक्ट करता है? पोस्टीरियर वेजाइनल वॉल। अगर आपने इतना बड़ा इंस्ट्रूमेंट पोस्टीरियर वेजाइनल वॉल में ओटी में डाला तो वो ही टेयर को दबा रहा है, तो आपको कहाँ से टेयर दिखेगा? सो व्हेन यू एक्सप्लोर वजाइनली फॉर postpartum hemorrhage, you will have to use big vagina under anesthesia. Anteriorly also you'll have to put this and see if there is any trauma in the posterior vaginal wall. Similarly, when you examine for fistulas, अगर ओटी में आप फिस्टुला देख रहे हो तो ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, so any pathology in cervix and vagina you want to see, basically practically for every patient we use this. So sim speculum तो सबको आना चाहिए. Sim speculum, anterior vaginal wall, posterior vaginal wall retractor. This instrument can also be used as a curette in a obstetric uterus. What do you mean by obstetric uterus? पेशेंट अभी डिलीवर हुई है, पीपीएच हो रहा है, पेशेंट को आपने ओटी में लिया है, एक्सप्लोर किया, नीचे कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, एटोनिक, माइल्ड एटोनिक लग रहा है, तो यू थिंक अबाउट टिश्यू एज अ कॉज ऑफ हेमरेज. सो आपको जब क्यूरेट करना है, इतना बड़ा यूट्रस रहता है डिलीवरी के बाद, सो ये डालना will lead to perforation. Chances of perforation will be more because it's a small and little pointed for a big uterus. And अंदर अंदर जाएगा, आपको वो feel नहीं आएगा, है ना इसमें. तो then you use a bigger instrument. So when you use it for a puerperal patient, curettage अगर आपको करना है, so this can also be used as a curette for a puerperal curettage, right? This is another instrument which is asked in obstetrics. This is a green Armitage forceps. As you can see, there is a triangular business end, right? Flat. It has serrations over it. These serrations are meant for better grip. At the same time, it doesn't have sawtooth edge. It has tooth teeth nahi. So it is not that traumatic. So it is used to hold some soft tissue, and that soft tissue is edges of uterine wall during cesarean section. जहां आपने कट किया था यूट्रस, उसके सारे एजेस को पकड़ने के लिए ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट यूज होता है. ठीक है. इट इज अ पिक्यूलियर इंस्ट्रूमेंट, ये आपको सर्जरी में नहीं मिलेगा. इट इज ओनली इंस्ट्रूमेंट विच इज मेड इन, मतलब ऑब्स्टेट्रिक्स का पिक्यूलर है ये और ये एपिजोटोमी सीजर और ये स्पेक्यूलम्स वगैरह वजाइनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स. बट अब्डोमिनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स में ये बहुत पिक्यूलियर है. ग्रीन आर्मिटाज फॉर्सेप यूज्ड इन, सो द वाइवा माइट गो ऑन सिजेरियन सेक्शन. Whenever an instrument is given to you ना, अगर मेरे को ये आप, मैंने गायनोकोलॉजी में ये है मुझे, तो वाइवा might go on pap smear. So it's just to assess your knowledge after you identify the instrument. So few marks will be for identification, few marks will be for answering the question. So once you identify this instrument that it has a proximal end and a business end. Business end has triangular end. Why this end is triangular and broad? Because it can hold at a time larger area, and क्योंकि cesarean section में जो uterus आपने cut किया है, it bleeds a lot. It is very vascular, soft tissue and very vascular, it bleeds. So you require little broader area. अगर मैं artery लगाऊं और ये लगाऊं, कौन ज़्यादा hemostatic रहेगा? ये. तो इंस्ट्रूमेंट ही वैसा उन्होंने बनाया है. इसमें serrations भी दिए हैं. At the same time tooth नहीं दिया है, नहीं तो वो tear ही करेगा soft tissue, है ना? So this is about, if this is a एग्जामिनर बोलेगा बहुत ऊजिंग है, बहुत ब्लीडिंग हो रही है और तुम्हारे ट्रॉली पे चारी है, ये क्या करोगे? यू कैन यूज एलिस फॉर्सेप्स, यू कैन यूज स्पॉन्ज होल्डर, व्हाटएवर इज अवेलेबल इमरजेंसी. ठीक है. सो दिस सच क्वेश्चंस कैन बी आस्क्ड यू, बट जनरली यूजी को नहीं पूछते हैं. दीस आर आस्क्ड फॉर पीजीज. दिस इज अनदर, this is a gynec instrument which has come here. I'll take that later on. So this is a typical episiotomy scissor, right? So it has finger bows and it is typically angulated scissor. The business end is angulated, and at the same time one end is blunt, another one is pointed, right? To take care of the fetal head. It should not traumatize because it is used in the second stage of labor at crowning. अब second stage में 1-1.5 घंटा लग जाता है primary gravida में, isn't it? Ideally if you leave her alone, maximum you can wait for 1-1.5 hour also, है ना? तो आप तब से ही देके रखोगे, समझ लो सेकंड से जस्ट फुली डायलेट हो गई, स्टेशन ऊपर है अभी, +1 +2 पे है, और अगर आप एपिजोटोमी दे दोगे, शी विल ब्लीड 1 liter from there only. It's a planned surgical cut, no, on the perineum which you are going to give. So it has to be given when the delivery is actually imminent, मतलब अभी होने ही वाली है 5-10 मिनट, है ना? So that will be crowning. जिस 2 minutes में भी होने ही वाली, right? So episiotomy is a planned surgical incision made on the perineum to make the second stage of labor easier or delivery of the head or the presenting part easier. So the questions will go now on either labor or on episiotomy. What are the layers of episiotomy? So vaginal mucosa, perineal muscles, subcutaneous tissue, skin, all those things can be asked to you. So little bit you must see. ऐसा बहुत बार होता है examiner रोज exam ले रहा है. So one fine day the examiner will say उठाओ भाई कोई भी एक instrument उठाओ. ऐसा होगा तो then you should be mentally prepared कि मैं episiotomy उठाऊंगा scissor. And but then you should know कि कौन से layers है, episiotomy को suture कैसे करते हैं, है ना, all those things. Like अगर मुझे कोई बोलेगा तो मैं सिर्फ speculum उठाऊंगी, then the question will be on anything मतलब you have a broad area to be answered. Is it clear? So be prepared with that also in surgery, medicine, wherever कि आपको अगर choice देता है examiner लो उठाओ कोई भी instrument, तो मैं क्या उठाने वाला हूँ, और ऐसा बड़ा ही सोचना, छोटा ढूंढते नहीं रहना पड़ना चाहिए कि अब मैं ढूंढ ही रही हूँ वहाँ पे, एक तो उधर कुछ सूझेगा नहीं, है ना. So you pick up this instrument, simple instrument which you can answer, right? So instruments may identify, describe the peculiarity of that instrument. What is so peculiar about that instrument कि वो उसी चीज में ज्यादा यूज होता है ना. Then how it is sterilized, right? Then coming to now, let us go to drugs, right? Now say this drug, huh? So this drug is carboprost. Yesterday I went for exam at one of the medical colleges. The student, PG student, is not even reading what is written there. See, all these are new brands, अलग-अलग brand है. अलग कॉलेज में जाओगे दूसरा ही ब्रांड रहेगा एग्जाम में, है ना. सो फर्स्ट होल्ड इट. तुमको दिया है ना, तुमको अगर ये ड्रग बोला कि ये लो, तो वही नहीं रखना है, उसको हाथ में लेना है, उसको देखना है क्या है इसमें, क्या लिखा है उसके. हम लोग तो 40+ है, हमको दिखता नहीं. यू कैन रीड what is there because ampules vials may have different doses. उसमें क्या है वो पढ़ो, है ना. मोस्टली जो डोज है वही रहता है जो तुमने एग्जाम में बुक्स में पढ़ा है, but still there can be little change in the certain ampules and vials. तो जैसे ये this is carboprost, it is a 1 ml injection. It has 250 microgram of carboprost, that is 15 methyl analog of PGF2 alpha. PGF2 alpha बोलोगे तो भी बहुत है ना. So PGF2 alpha. It is used for management of postpartum hemorrhage. How it is given? Intramuscular. It is never given intravenous. Only contraindication is bronchial asthma or patients who are having some cardiac severe disease where you don't want any other smooth muscle to contract and cause trouble, right? But it is a life-saving injection, so it should be given for any atonic TPH, right? So the question can go on any other prostaglandin which you know which is used to misoprostol, like that, right? So मेरा एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है आप लोगों से, आपको अगर ऐसा कुछ दिया है हाथ में, है ना, एग्जामिनर ऐसे आपके सामने रख देगा ये लो, तो उसको उठाओ हाथ. इसमें क्लियर कट लिखा है डाइनोप्रोस्ट सर्वी प्राइम, डाइनोप्रोस्टोन जेल 0.5 milligram. Can you read that? So why do you have to fumble in exam? Just read it, what is written. So now what is this? This is PGE1, where it is used for cervical ripening in induction of labor, during induction of labor, like that, right? Say, I'll give you another example. Say maybe this is, what is this? Just see. So this is calcium gluconate, है ना? So in obstetrics and gynecology, whenever you are given calcium gluconate, we hardly use this drug. It is used only for magnesium sulfate toxicity. So the viva will go on maybe eclampsia और magnesium sulfate कितना देते हैं, तो फिर ये कितना इसमें 10 ml है, कितना उसमें कैसे देते हैं, क्या इसके साइड इफेक्ट्स है कैल्शियम ग्लूकोनेट के, हाउ डू यू गिव इट, है ना. तो इसको हाथ में लेके पढ़ो, 10 ml है, कितना है इसमें, इक्विवेलेंट लिखा रहता है सब कुछ. सो डोंट बी इन हरी टू जस्ट कहीं तो कुछ तो पढ़ा है उसको बोलना जरूरी है, ऐसा नहीं. देन द वाइवा विल गो ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर theoretical aspect, right? Methyl ergometrine. So this is methyl ergometrine. This is also 1 ml. ये इतनी छोटी एम्प्यूल है, it cannot be 5 ml, no? So 1 ml right? And it has 0.2 milligram of methyl ergometrin. It is used as a uterotonic drug, oxytocin drug or uterotonic drug for the management of prevention and management of postpartum hemorrhage. The question can go on management of postpartum hemorrhage, other aspects, or it can go on say any other drug which you can use if this doesn't work. Then you will say carboprost, right? So in general, for every drug, what you're supposed to say is take it in your hand, read it, कंटेंट क्या है, डोज क्या इसमें क्या है ना. देन उसके बाद यू विल से इंडिकेशंस. अगर एग्जामिनर नहीं पूछ रहा है तो दे से कि कीप स्पीकिंग. फिर इंडिकेशंस, contra indications, then before that the route of administration, right? Then side effects, and then the examiner might go on a particular theoretical aspect of that particular drug, right? So question can go on difference between oxytocin and methyl ergometrin, right? So जनरली एक ऑक्सीटोसिन और मैग्नीशियम सल्फेट अगर आप छोड़ो जनरली तो जो डोज है वही हम फुल देते हैं, है ना. ऑक्सीटोसिन में आपको टाइट्रेट करना रहता है फॉर लेबर इंडक्शन, बट अदरवाइज पोस्टपार्टम हेमरेज के लिए यूज कर रहे हो तो पूरी एम्प्यूल डालते हैं. जितने भी ऑक्सीटोसिक्स है ना, उनका काम आइडियली जो एम्प्यूल में डोज अवेलेबल है इज टू टोनिकली कॉन्ट्रैक्ट द यूट्रस. उसका काम एक ही है ना, यूट्रोटोनिक है ना वो, तो उसको वो यूट्रस को जोर से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करता है. तो यू कैन नॉट यूज दीज ड्रग्स, इवन ऑक्सीटोसिन इन फुल डोज जो एम्प्यूल में है, फॉर टिल द बेबी इज इनसाइड, अदरवाइज बेबी विल सफोकेट. Just remember, during every contraction, each contraction is followed by relaxation. So during that relaxation, what happens is the blood supply again goes through placenta to fetus, and that is very necessary, right? So if that doesn't happen, baby will succumb. So that is why ये जो compromised feti रहते हैं, वो जब labor से जाते हैं, तो उनका death का chance is more than a healthy fetus who will. It's just like COVID infection, जो already morbid है वो जा रहा है, और जो नहीं है वो सस्टेन कर पा रहा है, वैसे ही है. तो अगर आप ये इंजेक्शंस बेबी के डिलीवरी के पहले दोगे तो everything will be devastated. Baby will die and even the uterus might rupture, right? So when it is used, oxytocin is the only drug which when it is used in milliunits, मतलब वो units में available है एम्प्यूल में. एक एम्प्यूल में 1 ml में 5 units रहता है ऑक्सीटोसिन, बट हम डोज क्या दे रहे हैं ड्रिप में, मिली यूनिट्स, 1000th पार्ट, है ना. सो समझ में आ रहा है, इतना डाइल्यूट करके हम उसको टाइट्रेट करते हैं फिर. सो इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल डोज विच यू गिव फॉर फिजियोलॉजिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्शंस विच आर एक्सपेक्टेड इन फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड स्टेज ऑफ लेबर. अ फिजियोलॉजिकल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन इज contraction followed by relaxation. Upper uterine segment contracts, lower uterine segment dilates. You want all these things to happen. Methergine will contract, retract, no relaxation, both upper and lower. So oxytocin is the only drug which is going to be physiologically useful if it is used in a milli-unit dose. समझ में आ रहा है? बाकी सारे ड्रग आप आंख बंद करके पीपीएच बोल सकते हो, इवन ऑक्सीटोसिन ऑल्सो इन फुल डोज विच इज अवेलेबल. बट कोई भी बाकी ड्रग आप उसको पहले यूज नहीं कर सकते. अदर ड्रग इज as we read, सर्विट्राइन, and another drug which can be used before baby is born is misoprostol. जैसे वो मिली यूनिट्स में कर लिया ना ऑक्सीटोसिन, मिसोप्रोस्टॉल 200 माइक्रोग्राम की गोली आती है. तो अगर आपको इंडक्शन ऑफ लेबर के लिए यूज करना है, राइपनिंग के लिए यूज करना है, तो 200 का 1/8 पार्ट 25 माइक्रोग्राम यूज करना. समझ में आ रहा है? सो वो या तो तोड़ के दे दो इतुसी, या तो फिर आजकल रिसेंटली 25 माइक्रोग्राम की टैबलेट मिलने लगी, right? But those days when we were PGs, we were breaking it into 8 parts and then giving a small to the otherwise the relaxation phases go on reducing, hypertonic contractions होते हैं, फिर वो PPH के लिए काम करता है, फिर baby will die. So no confusion in this. Please don't be in hurry to just speak about that drug. Just take that packet in your hand, read what is there. A contraceptive is given to you, read what is written on that. Don't be in hurry to narrate. I pill दिख रही है तुमको, कितना भी knowledge हो, तुमको लेकिन उसमें क्या है वो पढ़ना है, ठीक है? Then so this was about drugs. Take it in your hand, read out contents. Then उसके बाद mechanism of action if at all specifically if there is anything, where it is used, the way it is used, dose and mode of dose and route of administration. Then like misoprostol can be used vaginally, it can be used orally, it can be used rectally, right? Orally it is used, easiest route is what? Oral, सबके लिए convenient. Vaginally it will be used if she is in labor. Rectally when it will be used जब vagina से बहुत ज़्यादा bleeding आ रहा है, that means PPH, वो wash out हो जाएगा ना. So rectally life saving जब रहेगा postpartum hemorrhage में 4 rectally हम डाल देते हैं, it will be absorbed from there and there simultaneously you can do other management of PPH. ठीक है? So this was about how you describe any drug. ठीक है? Then coming to instruments हो गया, drug हो गया, then now coming to contraceptives, right? In contraceptive, always remember, again take that contraceptive in your hand, right? Somebody was asking me how you titrate oxytocin drip. Huh? There's a calculation to it. Can you just write down in your book? Undergraduate से expected नहीं है, but I'm just telling you. The dose which we are supposed to give in a drip format is 3 milliunits per minute. I'll just show it here. So the ampule is 1 ml, which has 5 units. That is equal to 5,000 milliunits. Is it clear? I'll just show it here also. Then coming to, we are going to add one bottle or 1 pint of RL is going to be roughly 500 ml. So you are going to add 500 ml में 5,000 milliunits 1 ampule. समझ लो अगर आपने ऐड की, right? Ultimately आपको किस फॉर्मेट में देना है ड्रिप को? हाँ? So when I add, इसमें तो उल्टा देखेगा. So when I add, just write down. When you add 500 ml में 5,000 milliunits. So just calculate 1 ml में कितना milliunit आया? 10 milliunits. If I add 500 ml में 5,000 milliunit, the solution each ml will have 10 milliunits. करो मैथ्स करो, भूल गए हो बहुत दिन से, बट करो, right? Now ultimately I'll be giving it either in a syringe pump if you are in a very state of art place. syringe pump आता है ना, ICU में रहता है, ऐसे हमारे लेबर रूम में भी है ना? तो मुझे डोज इनिशियली कितना देना है मैंने बताया था 3 milliunits, है ना? तो 3 milliunits डोज लाने के लिए ऑलमोस्ट 1/3 of 1 ml करना है, तो 0.3 to 0.4 ml I will give. But हम लोग most of the time we are using it in a drip format also. So I must know कि 1 ml में कितना है 10 milliunits. 1 ml is equal to बड़े बड़े जो drops गिरते हैं ना, दो 15 to 16. So जब मैं 16 drops per minute patient को देती हूँ तो कितना दे रही हूँ 10 milliunits. लेकिन मुझे देना कितना है 3 milliunits का डोज देना है ना. So I will reduce it. So I'll get it to around 5 to 6 drops per minute. It is very simple. Similarly, you have those dopamine, dobutamine calculations which are done in medicine ICU. It is not expected from you, but it is not difficult also. So just once for all, I taught you. 1 ampule of oxytocin has 5 units. That is equal to 5,000 milliunits. We converted it into milliunits because ultimately the dose which we are going to give is into milliunits. अब ये मिली यूनिट्स करने के लिए आपको उसको डाइल्यूट करना है into some solution. So we put it into D5 or RL. Mostly D5 also will do. So that roughly has 450 to 500 ml. उसको आप 500 ml लेके चलो. उस 500 ml में मैंने 5 यूनिट डाला, मतलब 5,000 मिलीयूनिट्स डाला. तो 500 ml में अगर 5000 मिली यूनिट्स है तो 1 ml का कैलकुलेशन आ गया 10 मिली यूनिट्स है. Now this 1 ml is equal to 16 big drops, not micro, macro, बड़े ड्रॉप्स. दो प्रकार की ड्रिप्स आती है, एक माइक्रो ड्रिप आती है और एक मैक्रो ड्रिप आती है. जो डोपामिन डोब्यूटामिन वाली रहती है ना, वो माइक्रो ड्रिप यूज करती है. वो 60 माइक्रो ड्रॉप्स, 60 माइक्रो ड्रॉप्स इज इक्वल टू 1 ml. वो माइक्रो ड्रिप क्यों यूज करते हैं मेडिसिन वाले? क्योंकि कार्डियक पेशेंट में फ्लूइड रिस्ट्रिक्शन चाहिए रहता है ना, so they require less of fluid. So macro, they are expensive also. So what we use is macro. So 16 drops में 10 milli units है. मुझे देना कितना है? 3 milli units. So 1/3 of 16 drops, roughly around 5 to 6 drops से मैं शुरू करूंगी ड्रिप. अगर मैंने 5 यूनिट 500 ml में डाला है तो, है ना, समझ में आ रहा है मेरे को? अगर आई एम वरीड यू नो कि सिस्टर रात में पता नहीं 4 पेशेंट है, मॉनिटरिंग कर पाएगी कि नहीं, रन कर देगी ड्रिप को, फास्ट कर देगी, फ्लश कर देगी, क्या करेगी? सो व्हाट आई डू टू बी ऑन सेफर साइड, इंस्टेड ऑफ एडिंग 5 यूनिट्स टू द ड्रिप और 5000 मिली यूनिट्स टू द ड्रिप, आई ऐड ओनली 2.5, आधा ही डालती हूँ. तो वो और डाइल्यूट हो गया ना. तो अगर गलती से सिस्टर ने 5 के बदले 10 ड्रॉप भी दे दिए तो आई एम सेफ. So the diluter or the more dilute you make the solution, larger number of drops you can give. The more concentrate you make the drip, you will have to reduce the number of drops. It is easier to make it dilute and give more drops rather than making concentrated and giving less drops. समझ में आ रहा है? Very simple mathematical calculation है about oxytocin. Then how you titrate it? Titrate मतलब बढ़ाना कम करना, बढ़ाना कम करना. तो अब 3 मिली यूनिट्स के डोज से शुरू करके यू कैन गो मैक्सिमम अप टू 40 मिली यूनिट्स, है ना. कब आप स्टॉप करोगे इंक्रीज करना? हर 15 मिनट में, हर 20 मिनट्स में आप असेस करोगे द इंटेंसिटी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन, ड्यूरेशन ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन एंड द फ्रीक्वेंसी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. एट द सेम टाइम प्रोग्रेस ऑफ लेबर इन पार्टोग्राफ, एंड देयर शुड नॉट बी एनी डेलिटेरियस इफेक्ट ऑन द फीटल हार्ट रेट. अगर फीटल हार्ट रेट पे प्रॉब्लम है तो होल पर्पस इज नॉट सर्व्ड. Right? So all these things are taken into account, and then every 20 minutes you either increase the dose or you reduce the dose. When you increase after 20 minutes, half an hour, every 20 minutes, half an hour, you double it generally. तो मैं अगर 6 drops दे रही थी तो मैं अभी 12 drops करूँ. But एकदम से समझ लो 12 drops के बाद बहुत contractions आने लगी तो I'll reduce it. Is it clear? That is titration. Titration, you keep on going, increasing, doubling the dose till you get adequate uterine contractions without any effect on the progress of labor, and main point is fetal heart rate, right? Contractions अच्छे आ रहे हैं, adequate है, सब ठीक है, but fetal heart rate bradycardia 90 हो गया. I will not give oxytocin, just stop it. This fetus is not withstanding. Review 3 P's of labor. Is it clear to you? So I've made it very clear how oxytocin is used. I think a few of the students of your batch had this query of oxytocin titration, right? Now coming to next was the specimens. In specimens, just remember the obstetric specimens will be asked specimens. Huh? So now we'll be talking about specimens. What are you expected to speak in specimens? So I'll just give you example of this specimen. This is a specimen of, in exams, hold it, look at it, rotate it. Even if everybody knows that you know what is kept inside in the exam hall, you're supposed to do this. है ना? ऐसा नहीं है कि anencephaly. But don't take so much time that the examiner gets irritated कि देख ही रहे हो अभी, है ना? So at least have a look like this, then move and see if the fetus has associated. Why you rotated it? Because you wanted to see is there any associated spina bifida. That's the only reason. Fibroid में ऐसा नहीं कि एकदम से देखा, at least cervix कहीं दिख रहा है क्या, uterus कहीं दिख रहा है क्या, at least उतना you must rotate and see. But don't break it, don't गिराना मत वहाँ पे, ठीक है? So slowly you will rotate and see. So you will rotate and say, this is a jar mounted specimen. Jar mounted specimen. What is this liquid? formally. So mounted क्यों बोलते हैं? अभी इसमें mounting नहीं है because it's a big fetus. Otherwise अंदर एक glass की frame रहती है, उसके अंदर डोरी से बंधे हुए रहते हैं specimens, है ना? So jar mounted specimen of whatever is describe it. So this is a specimen of fetus which doesn't have a cranial vault. The facial appearance is like a frog with prominent eyes, right? And the back is ऊपर थोड़ा सा दिख रहा है, बट अदरवाइज नीचे कोई मेनिंगोसील माइलोसील नहीं है, नीचे कुछ स्पाइना बाइफिडा जैसा नेक नहीं रहा है. So this is a typical severe form of neural tube defect, right? Then the question will go on, can you prevent it? So you have to give periconceptionally folic acid. Early detection can be done by ultrasound. Even in the first trimester now it is diagnosed. If it is found in the first trimester, what would you do? See, everywhere you in exams now, you will say that it is not salvageable with life. It is not compatible with life. So you are going to counsel the couple that it is a severe malformation and it would be better that it is terminated. You cannot dictate to couples that you need to terminate like that. You are just going to tell them that it is so severe that it is advisable to terminate, right? There are certain religions who don't believe in MTP, right? So you cannot for anything for that matter, you cannot force anybody to get the things done. So you will counsel and 99.99% patients will say yes, we will go for it, right? So consents jab lete hain na, they are informed consent. The decision comes from the patient and the couple, right? For us it is always a couple because we are concerned with reproductive function most of the time. So it is generally not a single person's consent, right? Like MTP, TL, they say that the woman has full right to do MTP and TL, fine, right? But then it could be a ground for divorce if she had not taken her husband into this thing. So it is advisable to take, advisable, not mandatory for legal aspect. It is advisable to involve the family and couple, husband. So we have many medical legal issues. अगर 100 cases होते हैं ना medical legal, तो उसमें से 80 cases OBGY के रहते हैं. इतना समझ लो. It is so dangerous, right? Because it deals with surgical branch है, दूसरा reproductive branch, है ना? So this is about how you describe. Then उसके बाद the whole viva will go on the theoretical aspect, like how do you diagnose it? Like fibroid का specimen है. So they will ask you, तुमने describe कर दिया, this is a jar mounted specimen of uterus showing multiple bosulations and one of the bosulations appears to be cut, which has whorl-like appearance, and this looks, and it is smooth surface, it has smooth surface, it doesn't have any areas of necrosis, hemorrhage. So most probably this is a specimen of fibroid uterus. Then the question will go on, what could be the symptom of this patient? What could be the, क्योंकि इतना बड़ा दिख रहा है आपको, तो सबसे बड़ा आपको रहेगा लंप, छोटू सा है तो आप बोलोगे मेनोरेजिया, है ना? So all those things you will tell depending upon what is the specimen. Another question they could ask is how will you diagnose this? I always say in my lectures, in my clinics, in obstetrics and gynecology, please say ultrasound, ultrasound, ultrasound. आपको कुछ नहीं आ रहा है तो please say ultrasound, है ना? गायनोकोलॉजी में भी हम अल्ट्रासाउंड करते हैं, ऑब्स्टेट्रिक्स में भी हम अल्ट्रासाउंड ही करते हैं. इट्स जस्ट लाइक व्हाट अ न्यूरोलॉजिस्ट डज इज एमआरआई. तो हमारे लिए क्या है? अल्ट्रासाउंड. तो नहीं आता है तो ब्लैंक मत खड़े रहो, अल्ट्रासाउंड बोलो. जैसे डायग्नोस, इसको भी अल्ट्रासाउंड चाहिए, फाइब्रॉइड को भी अल्ट्रासाउंड चाहिए, ओवेरियन ट्यूमर को भी इनिशियली तो अल्ट्रासाउंड ही चाहिए सब, ठीक है? सो अल्ट्रासाउंड बोलना. And then they will ask you in gynac specifically, they might ask you कि ये जो fibroid का specimen है इसमें uterus भी है, या एक adnexa में there is a specimen of uterus and just adjacent to it there is a cyst-like structure which has smooth, it is only on one side, unilateral, it is smooth in surface, it has clear fluid inside it, and it appears to be benign, and most probably this is an ovarian cyst. The examiner will ask you again what are the symptoms, how do you diagnose it, all those things will be asked to you, and the examiner will ask you, looking at this specimen, what do you think is the age of the patient? This is a typical question. Generally PGs को तो पूछते ही हैं. This is asked because now the uterus is removed, no? So logically what is the age? Perimenopause, है ना? तो ये एग्जाम में पूछता है. अगर सिर्फ cyst है तो वो most probably it is a younger patient, right? So when uterus is also removed, most probably she is, ये इतना लॉजिकली आंसर देना है. दिस माइट बी आस्क्ड यू, यूट्रस भी निकाल दिया है ना. कभी कभी क्या होता है, आप लोग बहुत ड्रेन्ड आउट रहते हो तो यू माइट मिस इट, बट देन इफ आई टेल यू हिंट कि देखो बेटा यूट्रस भी निकाला है और उसके बाद भी आप बोलोगे ब्लैंक रहोगे तो देन आई कांट हेल्प, राइट? सो यूट्रस निकाला है मतलब शी इज अराउंड 50, 45, 50 लाइक दैट, राइट? और मे बी मोर देन दैट, राइट? बट यंगर पेशेंट में सिर्फ आप फाइब्रॉइड निकालोगे, सिर्फ आप the pathology you will remove. Benign it is, you will remove only the pathology, right? So this was about how you describe the specimen, the symptom, anything on that particular topic might be asked to you. So in exams, if it is a benign pathology, if it could be done endoscopically, say which route you will remove, say laparoscopically, hysteroscopically, abdominally, whatever, depending upon whatever is the specimen. One specimen is of gestational trophoblastic disease. Grape-like vesicles are there. It might be there over there. So there is a jar है, उस jar में नीचे ऐसे सारे grape जैसे vesicles है. So that is a specimen of vesicular mole, right? So please read basics of vesicular mole, gestational trophoblastic disease. So it's a degenerative condition of placenta. उसका जेनेटिक मेकअप आना चाहिए. व्हाट इज अ कंप्लीट मोल, व्हाट इज अ पार्शियल मोल. पार्शियल मोल में फीटस रहता है, अगर उसमें फीटस नहीं है तो इट्स अ कंप्लीट मोल. फीटस बना ही नहीं मतलब इट्स अ कंप्लीट मोल. एंड देन हाउ डू यू डायग्नोज इट अगेन? USG, ultrasound. And then what is the tumor, what is the marker for it? Beta HCG. Then how will you follow up? Beta HCG. How will you treat it? Suction evacuation. Right? When you do suction evacuation, you have to start an oxytocin also. So you will start an oxytocin drip. Aajkal, because the patients are aware, patients have this fancy of, you know, even if we don't tell the patient wants sonography. पहले के ज़माने में we used to get 30-36 week size. इतने बड़े-बड़े वेसिकुलर मोल आते थे, क्योंकि वो आते ही नहीं थे एंटीनेटल चेकअप, है ना, दूर दराज के जो आदिवासी एरिया के रहते थे. अभी क्या हो रहा है कि इतने इतने छोटे यूट्राई में भी वेसिकुलर मोल डायग्नोज हो रहा है, राइट? सो व्हाट बुक्स में जो डिस्क्रिप्शन पुराने जमाने में लिखा हुआ है ना, वो अभी धीरे धीरे चेंज होते जा रहा है सिनेरियो. सो नाउ वी गेट वेसिकुलर मोल डायग्नोज्ड एज अर्ली एज say 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks like that, and the treatment is suction evacuation. Send it for histobad and at the same time follow her up with beta HCG. So such questions will be asked to you on a particular specimen. Gynac में ovarian cyst, fibroid and gestational trophoblastic disease comes in both sides. Obs gynae तो कहीं पर भी रख सकते हैं. And एक prolapse का specimen है, जिसमें ना यूट्रस छोटा है and then there is a long, in that table viva no, we have that entire pictures. So on table viva I will share with you that PPT. In that there is a prolapse specimen in which there is a small uterus and the cervix is elongated, right? Now you must know what is a supravaginal elongation of cervix and infravaginal elongation of cervix. In books it is given supravaginal elongation of cervix is, you know what, ये यूट्रस है और ये सर्विक्स है, राइट? ये वाला पार्ट, एंड ये वजाइना है. यूट्रस, सर्विक्स एंड वजाइना, राइट? नाउ और आई कैन ड्रॉ इट आल्सो फॉर यू. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इन सुप्रावजाइनल elongation, the बेसिकली क्या इलोंगेट हुआ है? बेसिकली इलोंगेट क्या हुआ है? सर्विक्स. सो आइदर इट इज सुप्रावजाइनली मतलब वजाइना के ऊपर का पार्ट इलोंगेट हुआ है ना, और दूसरा क्या है? इंफ्रावजाइनल मतलब वजाइना के नीचे वाला पार्ट इलोंगेट हुआ. नाउ लुक एट दिस, राइट? सो नाउ दिस इज द नॉर्मल यूट्रस. See the ratio of body of uterus to cervix, right? So uterus is bigger than the cervix, and then these are the fornices, है ना? समझ में आ रहा है? So all around the cervix, the vagina and fornices are there, right? So these are the uterus, cervix, and this is normal. Now this is a typical case of prolapse in an acquired prolapse or an old age prolapse. Old lady, acquired prolapse, जो बिकॉज लेबर में बहुत प्रोलॉन्ग्ड वो किया था, बेरिंग डाउन, है ना, ऑल दोज फैक्टर्स से जो होता है, जिसमें वजाइना भी प्रोलैप्स होता है. सो क्या हुआ है, वजाइना नीचे आ गया है, साथ साथ सर्विक्स भी है. बट इनमें क्या हो रहा है कि ये जो लिगामेंट्स है ना, यूट्रोसेक्रल लिगामेंट्स और मैकनरॉड्स लिगामेंट्स, दे आर टाइट. तो वो क्या बोल रही हैं, दे आर पुलिंग द यूट्रस अप. वो अपने जगह पे यूट्रस को रखना चाहती है, लेकिन वजाइना सैग हो रहा है, सिस्टोसील, रेक्टोसील, ऑल दोस थिंग्स, पेल्विक फ्लोर खराब हो रहा है ना. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, इट इज पुलिंग द सर्विक्स अप. सो इट इज सुप्रावजाइनल इलोंगेशन ऑफ सर्विक्स. सर्विक्स तो इलोंगेट हो गया क्योंकि नीचे से भी कोई खींच रहा है, ऊपर से भी कोई खींच रहा है. बट दिस इज एन अक्वायर्ड प्रोलैप्स वेयर द फोर्नाइसिस आर शैलो, because vagina ही prolapse हो रहा है ना. So fornices are shallow and the cervix above the vagina is elongated because of the good strength in the ligaments, but the pelvic floor is allowing it to sag. तो acquired में होता है. Now this is a congenital prolapse. Congenital means at birth or young girl 16-17 साल की इंट्रोइटिस पे cervix है, तो fornices deep रहते हैं, उनके जगह पे रहते हैं. But cervix is coming down because congenitally the cervix may be long, right? समझ में आ रहा है? So that is infravaginal elongation of cervix. Supravaginal and infravaginal. So जो younger patients हैं, उनको आप laparoscopically uterus को elevate करके कहीं पे fix करते हो. These are different surgeries which is not expected from you. And for infravaginal elongation of cervix, you will have to either do vaginal hysterectomy because she's already old most of the time, right? And do ward में use hysterectomy. तो वो जो यूट्रस निकला हुआ ये स्पेसिमेन है ना, तो क्या होगा, सुप्रावजाइनल ही है वो. सुप्रावजाइनल इलोंगेशन रहता है बिकॉज यूट्रस ही निकाला है ना, तो अक्वायर्ड ही है. सो द स्पेसिमेन व्हिच यू हैव इज supravaginal elongation of cervix where you have removed only the uterus, right? In that PPT every specimen is there, right? Now coming to specimens में आपको मैंने बता दिया क्या क्या करना है. Rotate, see, describe any peculiarity, then describe. Then the question will go on symptoms, diagnosis. Why do you feel this is benign? Why not malignant? So you'll have to say, one, it is unilateral. Two, it has smooth surface. Three, it doesn't have any areas of hemorrhage, necrosis or papillary excrescences. ये words बोलना, which is expected from you in any branch. Features of malignancy and benign tumors. ये एग्जाम में बोलते आना चाहिए, ऐसा कोई डिफिकल्ट तो है नहीं. We don't have any malignant ovarian का specimen. We have only benign ovarian cyst का है. तो ये benign क्यों लग रहा है आपको? एक तो unilateral है, फिर smooth surface है, it has clear fluid जैसे लग रहा है इसमें. So all these things you'll have to say. Then coming to contraceptives. In contraceptives, always take the contraceptive in your hand. जैसे drugs करते हो, तो आपको ये हाथ में लेना है. इसमें सब कुछ लिखा हुआ है, अपना दिमाग नहीं लगाना बहुत. इसमें सब लिखा हुआ है. क्या लिखा हुआ है? कॉपर Cu 375, मतलब एरिया कितना है? 370. दिमाग नहीं लगाना कितना है ना. फिर उसमें देखो, इसमें it is a T-shaped device, but it has the transverse arms. They have serrations on it, right? So it is not visible here, but I'll just rotate it through you. So it has, these are two different kinds of properties which are available, right? So this is one which is actually T-shaped, and that is the transverse arm has serrations. These are called fundus seeking devices. मतलब वो fundus को पकड़ के रखती हैं, तो वो displace नहीं होती, expel नहीं होती, दूसरी वाली है ना. और उसके transverse arm पे copper नहीं है, जो पहला वाला मैंने दिया उस पे. और ये जो अभी दूसरा आ रहा है property आपके हाथ में अभी, उसमें transverse arm में भी है. Whenever you give that transverse arm में भी copper ना, तो you want to increase the amount of copper on the device. So that आपको लंबा चले डिवाइस. तो वो कॉपर वाला जो है वो चलेगा 10 साल, दूसरा वाला 5 साल है, पहले वाला. The larger the area, duration will also be more. Imagine करो, a 25-28-year-old girl, rural area, already has 2 children, is scared of tubal ligation, and if she gets a contraceptive which is one time to be inserted, and that too for 10 years, nothing like it, no? So they made a copper device which can be used for 10 years also, right? So this is how they have increased this thing. So for any contraceptive, take it in your hand, read out what is written on it. So this is a packet of Mala N. लिखा है इसमें, हाँ, इधर बड़ा बड़ा लिखा है, इसके पीछे कंटेंट पूरा लिखा है, इथेनॉल एस्ट्राडियोल कितना है और प्रोजेस्टेरॉन कितना है. एनी कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव यू डिस्क्राइब, सी टू इट, आप दिमाग में इमेजिन करो कि वो HPO एक्सिस पे काम कर रहा है क्या, एंडोमेट्रियम में काम कर रहा है क्या, ओवरी पे काम कर रहा है क्या, सर्वाइकल म्यूकस पे काम कर रहा है क्या. ये 4-5 जगह ही एवरी कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव काम करता है. तो अगर ये ओसिपिल है, हार्मोनल है, तो इट सप्रेसेस HPO एक्सिस एंड इट प्रिवेंट्स ओव्यूलेशन. If it's a copper T, where is it going? In the uterine cavity. So where will it act? On the endometrium. It will never act. उसमें कोई हार्मोन है क्या? क्या है उसमें? So copper creates an inflammatory response in the endometrium. So every time a sperm or even a fertilized ovum comes by chance, sperm को ही नहीं पहुंचने देगा पहले, सब phagocytose हो जाएंगे. और अगर fertilized ovum भी आया तो it is not going to let it implant. So it's an interceptive also. You must know what is a contraceptive and what is an interceptive. Contraceptive क्या करता है? सुनो इधर. Contraceptive, it acts before fertilization. Contraceptive acts mainly before fertilization. Means it will either prevent the gametes to be formed. It will either prevent gametes to meet. It will either prevent gametes, to get transported. Right? So barrier, IUCD, ossipills, in a particular way, they are more of a contraceptive. Now, what is an interceptive? Now, even if the fertilization has happened, it will not allow it to implant also. So, IUCD is an interceptive. Ossipil in a higher dose only for a particular amount of days. ऐसा नहीं है कि 7 दिन अनप्रोटेक्टेड इंटरकोर्स रोज ही हो रहा है और आप 8वें दिन आओगे और बोलोगे और आप उसको आईपिल दोगे तो इट विल नॉट बी ऑफ एनी यूज. बिकॉज वो जो पहले दिन इंटरकोर्स से फर्टिलाइज हुआ होगा तो वो 8वें दिन ऑलरेडी इम्प्लांट हो चुका है. इज इट क्लियर? So it has to, the patient has to come from the first intercourse, earliest intercourse within from that day, within 3 days, within 72 hours. उसका कॉन्सेप्ट समझ रहे हो आप? 8 डेज पहले से पेशेंट अगर बोल रही है, पेशेंट आपको झूठ बोल रही है, तो मतलब पेशेंट बोल रही है कि नहीं मैंने अभी जस्ट दिस वाज द फर्स्ट एपिसोड ऑफ अनप्रोटेक्टेड इंटरकोर्स, बट दे हैव हैड इट say 10 days back, which she has forgotten or she has not given, or she thought that they have used condom. But if that fertilization had happened, your this cycle is not going to help. So those 72 hours is very important from the first intercourse, right? वो 72 hours में 2-3 हुए हैं तो it's fine. Is it clear? So all these things make a very important management point of view. So it's very important. So interceptive will prevent implantation. Contraceptive will prevent gametes before fertilization. Okay. So copper T and IPIL, तुम्हारा LNG in a high dose, and even even ossipills in high dose, they are interceptives, provided you give within 72 hours, and copper T so within 5 days also, right? But this is all about contraceptives. But आपको ये हर contraceptive का पता होना चाहिए कि वो कहाँ act करता है. मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ कि एक डायग्राम ड्रॉ करो यूट्रस की, HPO एक्सिस, ओवरीज, ट्यूब्स, वजाइना, सर्वाइकल म्यूकस, एंड जस्ट लेबल कि यहाँ पे आयुसिडी, यहाँ पे ओसिपिल्स. सो ओसिपिल्स एक्ट हर एक लेवल पे, बट मेन उसका काम है ओव्यूलेशन सप्रेस करना. बट इट मेक्स द एंडोमेट्रियम आल्सो वेरी थिन, वेरी थिन. तो वो इम्प्लांट भी नहीं करेगा बाय चांस फर्टिलाइजेशन हुआ तो. इट मेक्स सर्वाइकल म्यूकस आल्सो वेरी थिक, राइट? It reduces tubal motility. So इतनी सारी जगह वो ossipills जब काम कर रहा है तो उसका सक्सेस रेट सबसे ज्यादा होना ही है. Is it clear? उसका उल्टा condoms. What is it doing? It is just allowing barrier between. It is not allowing the sperms to go. By chance छोटा leak है तो it will go. So कहाँ act कर रहा है वो? कहीं नहीं. So the failure rate is more. But जितना आप higher level of contraceptive पे जा रहे हो उतना साइड इफेक्ट्स रहेंगे. बैरियर के कुछ भी नहीं है, बट हार्मोन बेचारी वो लेडी रोज खा रही है तो लॉन्ग टर्म इफेक्ट्स उसके रहेंगे. डीवीटी हो सकता है, उसको थ्रोम्बोसिस हो सकता है, कार्डियोवास्कुलर रिस्क हो सकती है, और ऊपर से स्मोकर है तो ज्यादा चांस है. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स यू मस्ट नो. इज इट क्लियर? लैक्टेशन में आप एस्ट्रोजन वाला कोई भी नहीं दे सकते हो कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव. इट विल सप्रेस लैक्टेशन. सो आप प्रोजेस्टेरॉन ओनली कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव दे सकते हो. है ना. So Depo-Provera इंजेक्शन आता है, you can give एक Micronor करके आती है, which is we don't have that, but Depo-Provera is one contraceptive which is only progesterone only contraceptive. So such contraceptives can be used in during lactation period, right? And they are used every 12 weekly, every 12 weeks. 3 months is how many weeks? 13 weeks. Whole EDD on the expected date of delivery, patient completes how many weeks? If I say LMP ये थी और ये EDD थी, कैसे आप EDD निकालते हो? 9 months and 7 days. तो कितने वीक्स हैं? 40 वीक्स, है ना. प्लीज याद रखना 37 मत बोलना, बोली मत लगाना उस दिन. हाँ, तुम बोलोगे 37, एग्जामिनर बोलेगा 38, फिर मैं बोलूंगी 39. On the expected date of delivery, what is the this thing? Duration of pregnancy 280 days. तो 7 से डिवाइड करो तो कितना हुआ? 40 वीक्स. अगर तुम बोलते हो हर ट्राइमेस्टर 12 हफ्ते है, तो हो रहा है क्या 40 वीक्स? करो जरा. 36 plus 7 1 week 37 weeks होगा ना. No, it's not like that. Every trimester is 13 weeks. हर महीने में 28 दिन के बाद 4 हफ्ते के बाद कितने दिन बचे? 2 या 3 दिन. तो 3 महीने का 1 हफ्ता एक्स्ट्रा होता है ना. तो जब पेशेंट बोल रही है कि आई एम 3 months pregnant, she is how many weeks? So when patient says she is 6 months pregnant, she is how many weeks? When she says I am 9 months pregnant, how many weeks she is? 39 weeks. एंड फिर तुमने 1 वीक एक्स्ट्रा ऐड किया था ना ईडीडी में. पेशेंट को नहीं मालूम है ना ये सब. पेशेंट बोलेगी मेरे 9 महीने कल ही भरे, है ना. एजुकेटेड होगा तो वो डेफिनेटली बोलेगी ये मेरी ईडीडी है और ऐसा है. सो ईडीडी पे कितने वीक्स? केजी के बच्चों जैसा बोलो. 40 वीक्स. 1 ट्राइमेस्टर इज हाउ मेनी वीक्स? 3 trimester is how many weeks? 39 weeks. So 1 more week is how many weeks? 40 weeks. And I want this to be recorded because everyone should know in exams that it is 40 weeks on expected date of delivery. No confusion. When she becomes full term? 37 weeks. That means अगर किसी की EDD 10th of February है, so almost 21st of January को वो full term हो चुकी, 3 weeks before. Is it clear to you? So why this is important? Say a patient of mine who is due on 25th of February. She comes in labor on say 15th of February. And I have another patient who is due on 25th of February again. But she comes to me in labor on 15th of January. Is there a difference? Yes. 15th of January बहुत प्रीटर्म आ गई है लेबर में, और जो 15th of February को आई है वो फुल टर्म है. So I need not bother. पेशेंट ही तुमको पूछने वाली है, डॉक्टर मेरा तो अभी 10 दिन है EDD को, इज इट सेफ फॉर मी टू डिलीवर नाउ? यस, बिकॉज यू आर ऑलरेडी 38-39 वीक्स. इज इट क्लियर टू यू? इफ द पेशेंट सेज दैट मेरी EDD 25th of February है और मैं 15th of January को ही लेबर में गई हूँ, तो देन इट इज अ प्री टर्म लेबर. अगर आपको पीरियड ऑफ जेस्टेशन ही कैलकुलेट करते नहीं आया तो आप कुछ भी नहीं मैनेजमेंट कर पाओगे प्रेगनेंसी. So please don't say in exam कि 40 weeks or 37 weeks पता नहीं. 37 weeks is full term and every patient becomes term 3 weeks prior to, in the last 3 weeks of before her expected date of delivery, she is already 38th, 39th and 40th week. Is it clear? So last 3 weeks it is safe for baby to come out. Mother के लिए तो every day is a safe. For whom it is not safe? It is from the baby's point of view. We say term and preterm and term and post term like that. It is not for mother. Mother adult ही है, isn't it? So preterm, term and expected date of delivery पे how many weeks? 40 weeks. So भूलना नहीं अभी. Every trimester is 30 weeks. Okay? So 39 weeks बोलना है. अगर वो बोलती है मेरे 9 महीने खत्म हुए, तो जब वो बोलती है ना 8 months pregnant है, तो आप लोग क्या करते हो? 8 into 4 है ना, 32 वीक्स बोल दोगे. शी इज नॉट एक्चुअली 34, शी इज 34 to 35 वीक्स एक्चुअली, है ना, क्योंकि वो उतने एक्स्ट्रा वीक्स आप ऐड नहीं करते उतने ट्राइमेस्टर में जो एक दो हफ्ते. दैट इज व्हाई दे से फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में आपको 1 हफ्ता एक्स्ट्रा ऐड करना है, सेकंड ट्राइमेस्टर में 4 से मल्टीप्लाई करके 2 हफ्ते ऐड करो, और थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में 4 से मल्टीप्लाई करके 3 वीक्स ऐड करो. रफली अगर ओपीडी 200 की है और आपको जल्दी जल्दी कैलकुलेट करना है तो, है ना. सो दिस वाज अबाउट पीरियड ऑफ जेस्टेशन. नो कंफ्यूजन नाउ, राइट. सो वेयर वर वी नाउ. जस्ट वो डमी एंड पेल्विस बोल दो एक बार. That is the only. So a brief about IUCD, right? So this is a contraceptive, also an interceptive, used both as a routine contraceptive, also used as postcoital contraceptive or emergency contraceptive. Now this every device property has got 4 parts. The IUD itself, intrauterine device itself, which is this T-shaped device, which is preloaded inside this thing, right? Then this is a plunger. This is plunger. This is collar. ये जो blue है ये क्या है? Collar. और guard भी बोलते हैं इसको. You can call it guard also. And then this is a cannula, and the copper T is loaded inside this. Preloaded ही आती है इसके अंदर with this thread, as you can see, right? So in this packet it comes preloaded. Now look at this cannula. This is a hollow cannula. Inside this is the device. Now look at this device. This is a T-shaped device having copper wire, spiral wire on the vertical arm and also on the transverse arms. So government has made different kinds of copper Ts, and depending upon the surface area, even the duration of its action is different. So it has copper, it creates inflammatory response in the endometrial cavity, and that will lead to, it makes the endometrium hostile for implantation, right? Even for the gametes to pass. There are certain hormone releasing IUCDs which will make even the cervical mucus and endometrium also very thin and cervical mucus very thick. जहाँ जहाँ hormone आया ना वहाँ पे HPO axis पे भी action आती है और endometrium पे भी action आती है और cervical mucus पे भी action आती है. इतना याद रखना. HPO axis ovary पे, और अगर आप कोई भी चीज यूट्रस के अंदर डाल रहे हो हार्मोन रिलीजिंग, तो HPO एक्सिस पे उसका एक्शन ज्यादा रहता नहीं, लोकली रहता है और साइड इफेक्ट्स कम रहते हैं. ओरली अगर आप कुछ ले रहे हो तो लिवर ये वो सब इन्वॉल्व हो गया ना. अगर आप इंटरनली आप डालोगे तो बहुत लो डोज, जहां डायरेक्ट एक्शन चाहिए वहां आपने डाल दिया, है ना. सो दिस इज अबाउट the device, right? So 4 parts, as I told you: the device itself, then the cannula inside which it is loaded, this is the plunger, and this is the guard. Now what is the use of each and every this thing? This plunger, the device is loaded inside the cannula. It has T-shaped device, as I said. There is copper and there is a knob, terminal knob. वो knob में एक छोटा सा perforation है या hole है जिसके through ये thread गया है. Why this thread is required? This thread is, it's a very long thread here, but later on it is cut as 1 centimeter length. उसकी cervix के बाहर रहती है. This goes inside the uterus. The knob is in the cervical internal os के level पे, and एक 2 centimeter in 1 centimeter cervix में 1 centimeter outside the cervix thread is kept, so that the woman can self-examine the thread. Right? So this is the device itself, then the cannula. This is a guard. Now what is the purpose of each and every this thing part? This plunger is used to, it is put inside this cannula right up to the knob of that copper T. Inside this knob के वहां तक आपको ले जाना है उसको. हाँ, तो यहाँ जहाँ बेस में knob है वहां तक ये plunger गया है. It has a finger bow, right? Now what you do? First, this guard is given to adjust the length or assess the uterocervical length, and accordingly you will know मेरे को कितना अंदर uterus में जाना है. So how will you know the uterocervical length? So before taking any patient for intrauterine device insertion, once you take consent, once you have confirmed that she is not pregnant, she has come post-menstrually, you always put it post-menstrually, because number 1, os is open. Number 2, number 1, you're sure she's not pregnant. Number 2, os is open. Number 3, she's already bleeding. Little bleeding is there. And while putting, if you have little bleeding with this, it will be masked. Right? So once you have made all those things sure, now you want to see the uterine size. Now the normal size of uterocervical length is around 2.5 inches, right? So this instrument can be used, or this can be used as a sound to know the length, uterocervical length, right? Most of the time they are bleeding, no? तो आप जब उसको डाल के फंडस तक पहुंचोगे तो यहाँ तक ब्लड का स्टेन आएगा मोस्टली, इफ शी इज ब्लीडिंग. तो वो स्टेन को आप इसके साथ मैच करोगे to adjust the accord. So the guard is used basically to adjust to uterocervical length. Another function of this guard is, so this is to assess the, if you don't have uterine sound, uterine sound आपका ओपीडी में होता है ना, उसी से लेना है आपको. बट अगर आपके पास नहीं है, समझ लो, then this instrument can also be used as a guard. Then you put it inside this thing. ये रखो. So I have assessed it, then I have matched it, and then I adjust this length, right? Lactating women का uterocervical length is smaller because hyperinvolution of uterus होता है feed कर करके, oxytocin release होता है ना, so they have little smaller uterus like this much, है ना? So now coming to, और multiparous patients में कभी कभी uterus इतना बड़ा होता है, right? Now another purpose of this guard is, ये जो transverse arm है ना, ये इस डायरेक्शन में खुले हैं लैटरली. ये होता है सजाइटल सेक्शन, ये होता है कोरोनल. मतलब लैटरली खुलना है कॉपर्टी को. यूट्रस ऐसा है ना कैविटी, ऐसे नहीं खुलना है बॉडी में, ऐसे खुलनी चाहिए ना कॉपर्टी, ऐसे नहीं खुलनी है, कॉर्नू में जाके फंसना है उसको. तो अभी समझ लो मैंने ये लोड करके यूट्राइन सर्विक्स से अंदर डाला डिवाइस, तो मुझे बाहर से कैसे पता चलेगा कि ये कहाँ खुलने वाला है, अंदर कौन से डायरेक्शन में? समझ में आ रहा है ना? मैं अंदर डाल रही हूँ. नाउ आई डोंट नो कि ये ऐसा खुलने वाला है कि तो अंदर चला गया. सो माय इसका ट्रांसवर्स डायरेक्शन और इसका ट्रांसवर्स डायरेक्शन सेम होना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये मुझे बाहर से दिखने वाला है. ये ट्रांसवर्स जिस डायरेक्शन में है, ये भी उसी ट्रांसवर्स डायरेक्शन में होना चाहिए. ये नहीं कि ये ऐसा है तो मेरा ये ऐसा है. इज इट क्लियर? सो वंस दिस गोज इनसाइड द यूट्राइन कैविटी, आई डोंट नो हाउ इट इज गोइंग टू ओपन. समझ, तो डालते हुए ये ऐसे ऐसे करके मैंने डाला. अब मेरा गार्ड ऐसा है. How the copper will open? Vertically. Do you want it to open vertically? So you will rotate it, stabilize it like this, and then open it inside the uterine cavity. So this is always in direction to this. So purpose of guard is to adjust according to uterocervical length, and second purpose is to be parallel with the transverse arms of copper. Now once you have done this, why it is called withdrawal technique? Now I slowly go inside the uterine cavity and reach the fundus, right? Maybe this is the fundus. I've reached it here. I'll slowly take it down little bit, right? Once I touch the fundus, I slowly come down. Now I have two options. No, I'll just push this inside. Now this pushing force could be very bad. कोई जोर से पुश करेगा, कोई सॉफ्ट यूट्रस रहता है, प्यूरपेरल यूट्रस रहता है, एमटीपी के बाद हम डालते हैं कितनी बार ओटी में. So you don't want any pushing force to happen. So what we do is, plunger is kept steady. मैं नॉब तक गई हूँ, ये प्लंजर नॉब तक गया है, कॉपर्टी के एंड तक गया है यहाँ पे, ठीक है? थ्रेड्स यहाँ लटक रही है कैविटी में, कैन्युला में, राइट? सो व्हाट आई डू इज आई कीप दिस स्टेडी. दिस इज केप्ट स्टेडी. सो रहा है, दिस इज केप्ट स्टेडी, एंड वी सी द कैन्युला, बाहर कैन्युला है, अंदर प्लंजर है. So I keep plunger steady and see the copperty now. I'm withdrawing the cannula and the copperty has opened. So there is no pushing force. So first I went up to fundus. I came just 0.5 centimeters down so that I'm not absolutely at fundus, because cornu ke level pe mujhe खोलना है. Then I stabilize and keep the plunger there and there itself and withdraw what? So the cannula is withdrawn over the plunger. So क्या क्या किया मैंने? पहले यूट्रोसर्वाइकल लेंथ ली, ये लोडेड ही है. फिर उसके बाद मैंने इसको एडजस्ट किया. I kept it parallel to transverse arms. Then I held it like a pen, like a dart maybe, and then I went inside the uterine cavity. I just came below it. I confirmed that it is going to open transverse. Once all this is done, a plunger is held steady there itself. I'm not pushing anything. I'm just withdrawing the cannula. The copperty will open. Then I completely remove the plunger. Then I complete, so this is now inside the cervical canal or in the uterine cavity. I remove this. Now this is hanging in the vagina, such a big thread. So with scissors, I'm going to cut it here somewhere. Is it clear? यहाँ पे उसको cut कर देना. And this thread is outside in the vagina 1 centimeter, and patient can self-examine it to know whether the copperty is in place or not. So copperty I have told you, right? Any one complication it can be. While inserting, it can cause perforation. So you require a trained person to do this. कोई भी health worker इसको नहीं डाल सकता, right? Now what remains? Dummy and pelvis, right? So in contraceptive, take it in your hand, identify it, read what is the content, mechanism of action, how it has to be used. All those things have to be told. कि day 1 से उसे pill लेना है, कितने दिन लेना है, all those things, because everything we cannot teach in one go, the entire table viva, but you all will be asked about that. What are the contraindication? For any contraceptive, a common contraindication is suspected pregnancy. Second is undiagnosed vaginal bleeding. ये दो चीजें हैं तो आपको देना ही नहीं है contraceptive, ठीक है? बाकी तो it depends upon what is the contraceptive. Okay? Now coming to dummy and pelvis. Dummy is always of fetus. So this is the dummy and this is the bony pelvis. In bony pelvis, we expect you to at least tell us the landmarks of what is a true pelvis, what is a false pelvis. Then what are the landmarks of pelvic inlet, what are the planes of pelvis, like inlet, mid cavity, outlet. Then what is diagonal conjugate? So diagonal conjugate अगर आपको बोलते हैं कि दिखाओ तो you are going to hold it like this and then you are going to show like this, like from lower border of symphysis pubis to sacral promontory, right? Though I am going from outlet and reaching this thing, I am assessing the inlet का adequacy. So diagonal conjugate is for inlet, not for outlet. Though you are going like this, because you cannot do this ना, एंटीरो पोस्टीरियर डायमीटर नहीं ले सकते आप इनलेट का, तो ये करके आप 2 सेंटीमीटर 2.5 सेंटीमीटर जो ये इतनी लेंथ है वो माइनस करते हो, तो आपको डायगोनल कॉन्जुगेट से माइनस करके आपको ऑब्स्टेट्रिक कॉन्जुगेट मिलेगा. Is it clear? Then what is the shape of inlet? What is the shape of mid cavity? Where are ischial spines? So patient, see if you are in labor room, the patient is lying down in front of you like this, right? So this is going to be symphysis pubis. This is going to be the outlet. This is going to be the mid cavity, and this is going to be the inlet. So these are the ischial spines. Ischial spines are midway in the vagina on the lateral side, right? So this is the diagonal conjugate. So diagonal conjugate is for inlet. Transverse diameter outlet, यहाँ पे जो आप लेते हो वो outlet के लिए, और ischial spines के बीच में जो distance देखते हैं vaginally, that is for mid cavity. ठीक है, इतना तो आना चाहिए, और ये लैंडमार्क्स तो सबको आने चाहिए. From anterior to posterior, like symphysis pubis, pubic crest, pubic tubercle, pectineal line, iliopectineal eminence, फिर pectineal line, iliopectineal line, sacroiliac joint, halo of sacrum, sacral promontory. ये देख लेना एक बार, उसको आपको एक बार बाय हार्ट करना पड़ेगा. And then different planes, true pelvis, false pelvis, all those things can be asked. What are the different quadrants of pelvis? If you imaginary lines अगर आप draw करोगे तो ये एक हाफ है, ये एक हाफ है, और ट्रांसवर्सली करोगे तो anterior half है, posterior half है. So there are 4 quadrants, 2 anterior, 2 posterior, so 2 right and 2 left. Most common position of fetus is left occipito anterior. So this is the fetus, and this might be asked to you कि left occipito anterior position दिखाओ, तो इसको पूरा ऐसे fold कर लो आप, हाँ, and then ऐसे पकड़ो, ऐसे, then you will be able to manage it, right? So ऐसे आपको पूरा पकड़ना है इसको, and then fetus आपको ये ऐसे आप पकड़ सकते हो, and then this will be left side and left occipito anterior, ये occipito, so left occipito anterior, right? Then This is the fetal skull. They might ask you what is the sagittal suture, what is coronal suture, where is vertex. So vertex is a quadrangular area on the fetal skull, bounded anteriorly by which suture? Posteriorly by lambdoid, and laterally a line joining these two sutures, laterally a line, imaginary line passing through parietal eminences. ये parietal eminence है ना, तो ये quadrangular area को हम vertex बोलते हैं. Where is the occiput? Here. Where is the lambdoid suture? So जहाँ 3 suture है वो lambdoid suture है, ये 3 है ना. जहाँ 4 suture है वो frontal area है और bregma है ना. तो इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ एंटीरियर कॉन्टरनल पूछ सकते हैं आपसे. इन अ फ्लेक्स्ड एटीट्यूड, फ्लेक्स्ड में देखो यहाँ पे फीटस की बैक है, जस्ट इमेजिन ये बैक है फीटस है ना. तो फ्लेक्स्ड में क्या हो रहा है, ऑक्सीपुट हिट्स द पेल्विक फ्लोर फर्स्ट, ऐसे जाएगा है ना. एक्सटेंडेड में द मेंटम विल गो फर्स्ट. समझ में आ रहा है. सो इन एन एटीट्यूड ऑफ फ्लेक्शन सब फ्लेक्स्ड है इसमें. What is hitting the pelvic floor first? The occiput, like this, right? In an attitude of deflection, flex नहीं है, deflexed है, तो bregma hit करेगा, bro. In an attitude of extension, the mentum, the chim will hit the pelvic floor first. ठीक है? In all your grips, abdominal leopard grips, the fourth pelvic grip is whether the head is engaged or not is one thing, but don't forget to mention about the attitude, है ना. जैसे नीचे आप ऐसा कर रहे हो फोर्थ पेल्विक ग्रिप में, थर्ड तो ये है, फोर्थ में आप दोनों एंगल्स, दोनों हाथ रख रहे हो एट द इंग्वाइनल लिगामेंट. सो जहाँ पे बैक है उसके पास ऑक्सीपुट है. Every fetal head has 2 poles. The fetus itself has 2 poles, cephalic and podalic. Cephalic and podalic. Now cephalic pole itself has 2 poles again, occiput and sinciput. जो बैक के पास तुरंत आता है कंटिन्यूटी में, that is occiput. है कि नहीं. fetus को आप palpate करे जा रहे हो. अब ये हेड आ गया, बैक palpate की, फिर हेड आ गया. अब हेड में कौन सा बायोलॉजिक, कौन सा ऑक्सीपुट है, जो बैक के पास है, तो ये ऑक्सीपुट हुआ ना, और ये क्या हुआ, सिंसिपुट. तो आपने लैटरल ग्रिप की, लैटरल ग्रिप में बैक यहाँ है, तो ये क्या हुआ, तो आप अभी ये वाला ग्रिप कर रहे हो, समझ लो, है ना. तो उसमें अभी हेड तो एंगेज नहीं है, फ्लोटिंग है. तो दिस ग्रिप जब एंगेज है तो आप नहीं पाल्पेट कर पाओगे, है ना. बट जब एंगेज नहीं है तो फोर्थ ग्रिप आपको और क्या इंफॉर्मेशन देती है, दोनों तरफ आपके हाथ है ना, एक हाथ यहाँ से आ रहा है और एक हाथ यहाँ से आ रहा है. तो ऑक्सीपुट शुड ऑलवेज बी एट अ लोअर लेवल देन सिंसिपुट इन एन एटीट्यूड ऑफ फ्लेक्शन. ये इतना बोलना एग्जाम में. सो फोर्थ ग्रिप ऑल्सो गिव्स यू इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट एटीट्यूड. इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज जितना हेड फ्लेक्स्ड होगा उतना ही वर्टेक्स प्रेजेंटेशन का चांस ज्यादा है. अगर हेड डिफ्लेक्स्ड होगा, दे आर एट द सेम लेवल, ऑक्सीपुट एंड सिंसिपुट, then bro might present and head progress of labor might halt, right? So occiput is always lower than sinciput. Occiput kahan hai, jahan back. So I think most of the points we have covered about the table viva. So this is an pair of obstetric forceps. It has 2 leaves. एक इसको leaf बोलते हैं. So 2 leaves. Each leaf consists of handle, shank, this is shank, this is lock, this is blade. This blade is fenestrated, as I told you, to reduce the weight of the instrument and at the same time accommodate, give some space for fetal head to accommodate. The rest of the theoretical parts of forceps will be asked to you, right? So right blade and left blade. Now in exams it is always asked, you know, this ये जो है ना, ये वाला जो कर्व है, ये और ये, दिस इज अ पेल्विक कर्व, मदर के पेल्विस में जा रहा है ना. और ये जो कर्व है, सिंपल सी बात है, ये जो कर्व है जो फीटल हेड में जा रहा है, कॉन्केविटी स्पून जैसी, वो क्या है, सेफेलिक कर्व. और ये ऐसा जो टर्न हो गया ऐसा, तो ये वाला जो कर्व है ये पेल्विक कर्व है. So ये कर्व जो है वो pelvic कर्व है और ये वाला स्पून वाला जो कर्व है वो cephalic कर्व. बाकी theoretical aspects you'll have to read. This is a valsalum. Valsalum is used to hold the cervix. It is typically curved, as I said, because it needs to simultaneously retract the anterior vaginal wall. It is used to hold the cervix. So any procedure you are doing on the cervix or uterine cavity, आपको cervix dilate भी करना है, endometrial curettage भी करना है, gestational trophoblastic disease का आपको evacuation भी करना है, तो आप cervix को पहले पकड़ोगे. For that you require this. It has to be used under anesthesia because it is painful. Crush कर रहा है ना. Sawtooth appearance, उसकी teeth है इस केस में, so it is traumatic. Generally should not be used without anesthesia. Is it clear? So valsalum. And ये जो है वो, it is not used for a gravid uterus cervix. जो gravid uterus का cervix रहता है ना, जैसे आप cervical os tightening कर रहे हो, है ना, मैकडोनल्ड स्टिच बोलते हैं ना उसको, वो कर रहे हो तो आप ये नहीं यूज कर सकते बिकॉज बहुत सॉफ्ट, बहुत फ्राइबल रहता है सर्विक्स एंड बहुत वैस्कुलर रहता है, तो इससे ब्लीड होने लगेगा. सो ग्रेविड यूट्रस का सर्विक्स अगर पकड़ना है फॉर एनी रीजन, से सर्वाइकल टेयर भी अगर आप लेबर रूम में देख रहे हो फॉर पोस्टपार्टम हेमरेज, यू विल यूज स्पॉन्ज होल्डर, नॉट दिस. इट इज ट्रॉमेटिक, इट विल टेयर ऑफ. Now this is Cusco's I had shown you. This is bivalve, and the cervix is seen through this, right? And it has a screw here. The screw is to say I put it always vertically because the introitus is vertical, and then the vaginal canal is H-shaped. So once I enter the vagina, I'll open like this. Once I open it, I see the cervix. Then I'll lock this screw. So it will remain open like this. It will not close now. Then my hands are free and I can do alone any procedure if I want to do. So you don't require an assistant. Drawback, it will obstruct the, you will not see vaginal walls. Cervix देख सकते हो आप ना, vaginal walls नहीं देख पाओगे आप, ठीक है? Advantage is self-retaining. Then most of the things I have told you. So I wish you all the best for your exams and come well groomed, well prepared, and eat also simultaneously. You must keep some eatables with you, water, biscuits. All the best. Anything else you want to discuss, you can come anytime. We can have an extra class also for you. In antenatal case or your obstetric long case, make sure that you are taking history properly. You are taking dietary history also. You are taking immunization history. You are taking COVID history. Any history of COVID in the family, or the patient had, or any history of because now COVID will matter. Then coming to read something about effects of COVID and pregnancy. There are not much, but still come read something about it. Then coming to examination part, mein don't forget general examination mein height, weight, blood pressure. You must have a watch which has second hand so that pulse you could take properly. Pulse के लिए आपको second hand चाहिए, digitally भी seconds होने चाहिए उसमें. BP लेना है खुद से, height, weight लेना है. Height और weight को underestimate मत करो. You must take height and weight. Spine, thyroid, breast has to be mentioned in your general examination. Then pallor, edema comes first. For me, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, all those things are secondary as an obstetrician. What is more common for me is edema and pallor. Right? These things should come first after TPR, BP, temperature, pulse, respiration, blood pressure, and after that, this should come. Then thyroid, spine, breast. Breast, it is important to examine because if she's peripartum, near term, then there should not be any cracked nipple infection, fungal infection, whatever. Retracted nipple. All these things should be taken care of before she delivers. Then coming to per abdomen examination, go systematically. Systemic mein RS, CVS, CNS. Any particular complaint, then you must examine in detail. Otherwise, you can mention that first and second heart sound is normal, no murmur. Air entry is equal on both sides, and neurologically there is no abnormality found. Then in preeclampsia, severe preeclampsia patient अगर है आप लोगों को, then deep tendon reflexes we see because magnesium sulfate आप दोगे तो then it will have to be followed up. Then coming to per abdomen examination, go systematically from inspection, palpation, then auscultation, right? Fundal height should be measured properly. Symphysiofundal height should be taken in centimeters. Then fetal heart rate, anterior shoulder का importance क्या है? Back जहाँ है, जहाँ back खत्म होती है और जहाँ head शुरू होता है. So in between that is shoulder, isn't it? So the shoulder which is more towards umbilicus, more towards anterior side of the abdomen is anterior shoulder. वो left है कि right है, nobody is asking. The shoulder which is more towards anterior abdominal wall is anterior shoulder. The importance of anterior shoulder is to locate the fetal heart rate, where to auscultate for fetal heart rate, and without doing PV examination, shoulder का जो progress है, medial and downwards in labor, because head तो engaged रहेगा ना, what will remain in the abdomen is for evaluation shoulder. So shoulder का progress से भी आप बता सकते हो whether this patient is progressing in labor or not. So दो importance है anterior shoulder के. That is the area where you auscultate for fetal heart rate, and second is for the progress of labor, evaluation of progress of labor per abdominal. बहुत सो रहा है.